Okay, Brad and David here again today, talking some baseball and talking some real estate. I think you want to start with baseball?
Yeah, let's start with baseball.
Only because it's becoming more and more clear as this season goes on for the Astros that I have no idea what's happening. I mean, it's almost surreal that they're hovering around or just below or just above 500 most of the season.
Right.
And not only are they in it, they're only a couple games, out of first place, and it's been that way most of the year. The American League is so bad that it's allowing all these teams opportunities.
Right. And I'm still sticking to what we discussed before. I think at this point it's okay to be a buyer because you may be around 500. That may be good enough to win this division. But in terms of what the season means, this reminds me of Drake McClain's toward the end of his tenure, when the team it wasn't a bad team, they just weren't a real good team, and
which seemed like that was the goal almost for Drake McClain. You wanted them to be just good enough, right?
From the outside looking in, but I think Drayton at the time actually thought that he added Miguel Tejada one year, he added Carlos Lee one year. He thought, this is it. This is what's going to get us over the top. We're World Series contenders now. And the owner, maybe he did realize it and didn't want to admit it, but the owner didn't realize, and I'm thinking the current owner is in the same position, that one guy is really not getting you a whole lot closer to World Series contention. Right. You're pretty mediocre. Okay, you're not a bad team. You're not a real good team, but maybe you're trying to fool yourself and others into thinking we're just a good hitter away or a good starting pitcher away.
Okay, so on to real estate matters. You and I, it's been a fun, interesting year in real estate as well. A lot of ups and downs, and people deciding they're going to buy and then they're backing off because rates haven't come down, or they come down but they jump back up, and sellers keeping their houses on the market for a long period of time. It's been a weird year in real estate, and you and I talk almost every day, and this has been one of those years, to steal a baseball expression, a Yogi Berra expression here, where it ain't over till it's over, right? You and I have both experienced that this year.
This year, and if we're talking about it ain't over till it's over in terms of giving buyers and sellers advice when it comes to closing. Boy, I have this conversation with both buyers and sellers. It ain't over till it's over. By that we mean just because you've agreed on a contract, just because you've agreed on the price, you might even be past the option period. It does not mean it's a done deal. You and I have both experienced situations to where the day before the day of closing, something happens to the deal. So here's just a couple, you can add to this, a couple of things in terms, and you can tell about your experiences, but a couple of pieces of advice. When you do get your pre-qualification, don't change your financial snapshot on that day. Do not change it one bit until after you close. Don't open any credit cards. Don't close any credit cards. Closing credit cards could hurt too. Don't buy a car. Don't do this, because I know this story actually happened. A family bought a whole bunch of furniture for the new house they were going to move into in a week or 10 days, and guess what? Completely changed their financial picture. It changed the DTI, debt to income ratio, and the loan was denied, and they had to start all over. So don't do anything until after you've closed.
I'm smiling not because I'm laughing at the story, but because it's painful. We've been through that. I've heard that. This happened to me a couple of years ago. Same type of scenario. I was representing the seller, and I called the lender about 10 days before closing just to make sure everything was in order. We just got through the appraisal and appraised. They said, we're good, right? No, unfortunately, the buyer decided, his son wanted a new car, and so he co-signed on a Lexus, and a brand new Lexus. And so that turned his debt to income ratio upside down, and he didn't qualify for the loan. I had one earlier this year where a girl mentoring, a young agent I'm mentoring here in the office, was in the week of closing, and her client, the buyer, unfortunately lost his job, cannot buy the house. And people don't think that affects him, and it's a horror, because they're so excited. Buyers are so excited, they're ready to go. But it also affects the seller, because the seller might be waiting for the money of that sale to put it down on the next house they're getting ready to buy. And these kinds of things happen all the time. I was under contract a month ago, and as the seller's agent, And I call the lender at the beginning of the deal. The lender says, yeah, literally the lender's words were, yeah, he's golden. I got a golden buyer here. No red flags. I always ask, okay, so no red flags, no red flags. And then as soon as we get through the option period, he calls me and he says, oh, we got a problem. Something didn't fall off, which I love that term. I'm still not 100% sure what that means, but something was supposed to fall off his credit report, and they found out it's not going to fall off his credit report. So the house ends up going back on the market. It's never over till it's over. If you had a deal that closed and it wasn't even over,
Yeah,
right?
we closed. And remember, this is the key phrase. It's not over until funding occurs. You may sign all the paperwork.
Yep.
It's not your house until funding occurs.
Which means the money goes from the lender to the title company,
Right.
and then boom,
Right.
it's done.
Yeah, I had a deal where we did close. Funding didn't occur at that moment, but we expected it later in the day. We got a call, well, funding's not going to occur for several days. I don't want to get into all the details. We'll call it technical glitches. How about that?
Yeah.
All right.
Did it end up closing though?
It ended up closing
did.
a week later, but it really, really messed up the buyer because they had already hired movers.
Oh yeah.
It messed up the seller, of course. So until funding occurs, this is not to be pessimistic.
No.
Most of the time, things happen, work out smoothly, and you fund on
If
the
you
day
have your
close.
if you have your ducks in a row.
If you have your ducks in a
yes,
row.
correct.
But just don't do anything from the time you get pre-qualified until you close that hurts your chances of closing.
No. Ask your lender first. Ask your agent. Just great points. Don't go, take out a $25,000 line of credit at Gallery Furniture. You
right.
cannot do those things.